The alarm blared through the Galactic Council's communications hub. Red lights flashed across the curved ceiling as technicians of various alien species rushed between workstations. In the center of the chaos stood Communications Officer Zixtra, her forearms working frantically across multiple control panels. "It cannot be happening," she muttered, her translator converting her clicks and whistles into standard galactic. "Run the diagnostic again." A junior officer with green-scaled skin approached nervously. "We've run it 7 times, Superior. The result is the same. Earth has gone silent." Zixtra's eye stalks quivered in disbelief. For over 3 centuries, Earth had been the noisiest planet in the galaxy. Human transmissions, broadcasts, communications, and data streams flowed constantly through subspace channels. Humanity's chatter had become the background noise of galactic civilization. And now, nothing. "When did the last transmission come through?" she demanded. "Exactly 6 hours ago. A routine weather satellite update from their Pacific monitoring station. Then nothing. All channels silent." Zixtra felt a cold sensation spread through her body. This wasn't possible. Even during the great solar flare of 2187, Earth had maintained basic emergency channels. The humans were communication addicts. They never shut up, not even during sleep cycles. "Alert Ambassador Krell," she ordered, "and continue attempts to re-establish contact." As the junior officer hurried away, Zixtra stared at the main display, showing the Sol system. Earth appeared normal. No signs of destruction or disaster. It was as if someone had simply turned off a switch. On the frontier colony of New Horizon, Adam Clark sat on his porch watching the double sunset. The purple and orange light painted the alien landscape in strange colors. After 15 years on this world, he still wasn't completely used to it. Adam took a sip from his coffee mug and glanced down at the small device on the table beside him. The quantum entanglement communicator linked directly to his family back. On Earth had gone dark 6 hours ago. The door behind him slid open and Governor Vrex stepped onto the porch. The tall, thin alien looked more worried than Adam had ever seen him. "Adam, my friend, have you heard from Earth?" The governor's voice trembled slightly. "No," Adam replied calmly. "My QEC went dead earlier today. The entire colony is in panic. All connections to Earth have been severed. The other human residents are also reporting communication failures." Vrex's skin flashed with patches of worried yellow. "Yet none of you seem concerned. You appear prepared." Adam took another sip of his coffee. "I wouldn't say prepared. But not surprised either. What does that mean? Do you know what's happening?" Before Adam could answer, another alien rushed up the path to his house. It was the colony's chief of security. "Governor, we've received an emergency broadcast from the Galactic Council. Earth has gone completely silent. All subspace channels, quantum communications, everything, dead. They're assembling an emergency session." Vrex turned back to Adam with narrowed eyes. "You need to tell me what you know." Adam stood up slowly. "I think we should gather all the human colonists. We have some things to discuss." On the Galactic Council homeworld, the Grand Chamber was in chaos. Representatives from 200G species shouted over each other, demanding information. At her small desk to the side, Samantha Wright watched with practiced diplomatic calm. As the only human representative currently on the Council planet, she had been bombarded with questions since the news broke. She maintained the same answer. For everyone, she knew nothing about why Earth had gone silent. It wasn't entirely a lie. Samantha didn't know the specifics, but she understood what was happening in general terms. All humans serving off-world did. The Council President, a massive jellyfish-like creature floating in a gravity tank, pulsed with bright colors to call for order. "We must proceed with rationality," the President's translated voice boomed. "Earth has been our ally for 3 centuries. We must assume some disaster has occurred and organize assistance." An amphibious delegate rose from his water bath. "Or perhaps this is the first step of something sinister. Humans have integrated themselves into every aspect of galactic society. Perhaps this silence is preparation for some kind of takeover." Murmurs of agreement spread through the chamber. Samantha kept her face neutral as more accusations flew. "They control 60% of interstellar shipping. Their translation algorithms are used by every species. Their cultural exports have influenced all our young. The council president pulsed for silence again. These accusations are unhelpful. Diplomatic Officer Wright, has Earth provided any information to its off-world citizens that might explain this situation? All eyes turned to Samantha. She stood, straightened her uniform, and spoke clearly. Earth has shared no special information with its off-world citizens regarding any planned communications blackout. However, I would remind the Council that humanity has always been transparent in its dealings. If Earth has gone silent, there must be a significant reason. And yet you do not seem worried, Officer Wright, observed a reptilian delegate. None of the humans across the galaxy seem worried. Curious, isn't it? Samantha offered a diplomatic smile. Humans are adaptable. It's how we survived before joining the galactic community, and it's how we approach unexpected situations now. As the debate continued, Samantha's personal device vibrated in her pocket. It wasn't a communication, all of those had stopped, but a reminder. A set of instructions that all off-world humans had received years ago during routine security updates. Instructions that began with, "If Earth falls silent." In her office on the mining world of Tarsus IV, Lisa Daniels watched the alien workers gathering in worried clusters outside her window. News traveled fast, even to remote mining operations. Her assistant, a bird-like alien named Pelk, entered, without knocking. "Ms. Daniels, the workers are growing concerned about Earth. Many wish to suspend operations until we understand what's happening." Lisa nodded. "That's reasonable. Tell them they'll receive full pay during the suspension." Pelk tilted his feathered head. "You're very calm about this. Your homeworld has gone dark." "Yes," Lisa replied. "It has." "Does that not worry you?" Lisa turned to look out the window again. "There are different kinds of silence, Pelk. Sometimes silence means something bad has happened. Other times, silence is protective." She turned back to face her assistant. "Have you ever been so focused on listening for one particular sound that you miss all the others around you?" Before Pelk could answer, the door opened again. The security chief, Grohl, entered. The massive, gray-skinned alien fixed Lisa with a suspicious stare. "All humans on this planet are behaving strangely," Grohl rumbled. "Too calm. Meeting in small groups. Some are already packing their belongings." "We're a practical species," Lisa said with a shrug. "What do you know?" Grohl demanded, moving closer to her desk. Lisa smiled. "I know that everything will become clear soon enough, and I know that whatever has happened, it's not a reason for fear." As the security chief glared at her, Lisa's thoughts drifted to the message she had received months ago. The same message every human working off-world had received. When the silence comes, remember that it's not an end, it's a beginning. And now the silence had come. 1 week had passed since Earth went silent. The initial shock had given way to something worse. Fear mixed with opportunity. Throughout the galaxy, economies faltered as human-run supply chains stalled. Trading systems built around Earth's currency fluctuated wildly. Alien governments scrambled to fill the void left by humanity's sudden absence. On Tarsus IV, Lisa Daniels walked through the mining facility's crowded cafeteria. Aliens of various species huddled around tables, speaking in hushed tones. She caught fragments of their conversations as she passed. "I heard a superweapon destroyed the entire planet," said a blue-skinned worker. Another with insect features clicked rapidly. "No, they built massive ships and left the galaxy, abandoned us all." "My cousin works for Galactic Intelligence," whispered a furry being. "He says they detected a massive energy surge before communication stopped. Maybe humans evolved beyond physical form." Lisa collected her food tray and sat alone at a corner table. These theories had spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Some saw Earth's silence as a tragedy, others as betrayal. Security Chief Grohl sat down across from her without asking permission. His gray skin looked rougher than usual, his eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. "Your people are leaving," he said, not bothering with greetings. 17 humans from the northern mining complex packed up yesterday, said they were taking extended leave. They've purchased a small transport ship. Lisa took a bite of her food, chewing slowly. It's their right to travel. All across the galaxy, humans are doing the same thing, quietly gathering, buying ships, collecting supplies. Grohl leaned forward. You're planning something. We're responding to a situation, Lisa corrected. A situation you knew was coming. Grohl's voice dropped lower. My species has survived 3 extinction events. We recognize the signs of preparation. Your people knew Earth would go silent. Lisa put down her eating utensil. Not exactly. We were prepared for the possibility. There's a difference. Tell me why, Grohl demanded. My people once suffered greatly because we trusted too easily. I won't let that happen again. Lisa studied his face, seeing genuine fear behind the suspicion. Some things can't be explained simply, Grohl. They must be experienced. Before Grohl could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. The station's communication system activated. Attention all personnel. The Galactic Council has announced the formation of an investigative fleet to the Sol system. Representatives from all major species will be included. The fleet departs in 3 days. Grohl stood up. I've been selected as our planet's representative on that fleet. I suspected you might be, Lisa replied calmly. Keep an open mind during your journey. You might be surprised by what you find. On the research vessel Stellar Horizon, Alan Murphy hunched over a workstation surrounded by holographic displays. As the ship's only human scientist, he had spent the past week analyzing Earth's final transmissions, while his alien colleagues watched his every move with suspicion. There, Alan said, pointing to a data spike. That's not random noise. That's a pattern. Dr. Zell, a tall alien with translucent skin showing pulsing organs beneath, leaned closer. What does it mean? It means the shutdown was coordinated, Alan explained. Look at the sequence. Communication satellites first, then deep space relays, then planetary networks. Each system closed in perfect order. So not a disaster, concluded Dr. Ixell. A deliberate action by your government? Alan nodded. Yes, but not from fear or hostility. The pattern is too precise, too calm. This was planned well in advance. Another scientist, a floating gas-filled being contained in a mechanical suit, drifted closer. If your people planned this, why were you not informed? Alan chose his words carefully. We were informed, just not directly. Humans working off-world received certain contingency protocols years ago, instructions for what to do if Earth ever went silent. And what were those instructions? Asked Dr. Zell. To stay calm, to continue our work, and to wait. Alan turned, back to his display. The final transmission contains something else, a mathematical sequence that repeats throughout the shutdown process. The gas-filled scientist expanded slightly, their equivalent of excitement. A countdown? No, Alan said. A location, coordinates within the Sol system. I believe that's where the Council fleet should focus their investigation. As his colleagues discussed this revelation, Alan's thoughts drifted to his family back on Earth. Were they safe? Were they changed? The instructions had mentioned possible changes, but had been frustratingly vague about what those changes might be. On the Galactic Council homeworld, Samantha Wright stood before the assembled representatives. As the token human selected to join the investigative fleet, she was subjected to one final questioning before departure. Diplomatic Officer Wright, began the Council President, do you swear to represent the Council's interests fairly during this mission? I do, Samantha replied. And if we discover that Earth has acted against galactic laws or treaties, will you support appropriate measures? Samantha kept her expression neutral. I will support truth and justice, whatever form that takes. The amphibious delegate who had accused humans of planning something sinister leaned forward. And what if we find Earth preparing for aggression? Would you warn your people of our approach? I have no means to communicate with Earth, Samantha replied truthfully. No human does at this moment. After more questions, the session ended. Samantha walked quickly through the grand hallways of the council building toward her quarters. She needed to pack before the fleet departed. As she entered her room, her personal device lit up with an encrypted message. She frowned. All communication systems tied to Earth had shut down a week ago. This had come through a different network. The message was brief. Remember the firewall protocol. Your presence on the fleet is crucial. Adam Clark, New Horizon, Colony. Samantha stared at the name. She had never met Adam Clark, but she knew of him, a retired communications specialist who had chosen to live among aliens. How had he sent this message? And what was the firewall protocol? She quickly searched through her emergency instructions, finding only a small reference. Firewall protocol. Last resort protection measure. Details restricted. As she packed her belongings, Samantha wondered what exactly they would find when they reached Earth. The silence was not what frightened her. It was what might come after the silence broke. In a private chamber on an unnamed world, representatives from 12 powerful alien species gathered in secret. The human absence presents an opportunity, said one, voice distorted to maintain anonymity. Their colonies, their technologies, their resources, all vulnerable now. We should move quickly, agreed another, before the council fleet discovers what happened. My sources say several human patented technologies were never fully shared with the galactic community, said a third, particularly their quantum entanglement communications. If Earth is truly gone, those secrets are worth claiming. The leader of the gathering raised a hand for silence. We will wait for the fleet's initial report, then we will act. If humans have abandoned the galactic stage, someone must fill the void they leave behind. None of them noticed the small maintenance drone in the corner of the room, its sensors recording everything. Nor did they notice when it quietly slipped away, carrying their plans to human ears. The investigative fleet departed from the Galactic Council homeworld with great ceremony. 50 ships of various designs formed a gleaming armada, representing over 30 different alien species. Their mission was clear: reach the Sol system, discover why Earth had gone silent, and determine if the silence posed a threat to galactic peace. Aboard the flagship, a massive vessel called the Unity of Stars, Samantha Wright stood at a viewing port, watching the stars stretch into lines as they entered faster than light travel. She felt eyes on her back and turned to find Security Chief Grohl studying her. Officer Wright, he said with a nod. We haven't been formally introduced. I'm from Tarsus IV. The mining world, Samantha replied. I've heard it's quite beautiful. In a harsh way. Grohl moved to stand beside her. I worked with a human there, Lisa Daniels. She manages the Southern Mining Complex. Samantha kept her face neutral. The name isn't familiar to me. I didn't expect it would be, but she, like you, seemed unsurprised by Earth's silence. Grohl's eyes narrowed. She also mentioned something that puzzled me. She said that silence can be protective. What do you think she meant by that? Before Samantha could answer, the ship's captain approached. A tall, elegant alien with feathered skin bowed slightly. Officer Wright, Chief Grohl, your presence is requested in the command center. We're receiving some unusual readings from our long-range sensors. They followed the captain through the ship's curved corridors. Aliens of various species nodded politely as they passed, but Samantha noticed the subtle signs of distrust in their body language. The single human among them was an object of suspicion. In the command center, a holographic display showed their course through space. A blinking red indicator had appeared at the edge of the Sol system. What are we looking at? Asked Grohl. The science officer, a small amphibious being, gestured to the display. Something is interfering with our scans of the Sol system. A type of energy field we've never encountered before. It begins precisely at the boundary of your solar system, Officer Wright. All eyes turned to Samantha. I have no information about any such field, she said truthfully. Perhaps it's related to why Earth went silent. Or perhaps, said a reptilian delegate, it's a defensive measure deployed by humans, a barrier to keep us out. The captain raised a hand for calm. We'll know more as we get closer. We're still 3 days from reaching the edge of the Sol system. As the others discussed possible explanations, Samantha's mind returned to the mysterious firewall protocol. Was this energy field related? And what would they find when they crossed it? On New Horizon, Adam Clark led a group of 20 humans through an underground tunnel. They moved quietly, carrying supplies and equipment. "The colony security will notice we're gone by morning," said a young woman named Karen. "What's our plan?" "We'll be off planet by then," Adam replied. "Our ship is prepared." They reached a hidden hangar where a medium-sized vessel waited. It wasn't large or fancy, but it had been carefully upgraded over several years. Enhanced engines, better life support, and most importantly, modified communication, systems that didn't rely on standard galactic networks. "All humans across the colony are ready," said Bill, a gray-haired engineer. "Some are staying behind as we discussed, to maintain appearances and report what happens after we leave." Adam nodded. "Good. Remember, we're not abandoning our alien friends, we're doing what needs to be done according to the protocol." As they loaded their supplies onto the ship, a voice called from the tunnel entrance. "I knew I would find you. Here." They turned to see Governor Vrek standing there alone. "Governor," Adam said, stepping forward. "I can explain." "Can you?" Vrex asked. "Can you explain why my friend of 15 years is sneaking away in the night? Why humans across my colony are quietly vanishing?" His skin darkened with emotion. "We've lived together, worked together, built this colony together. Does that mean nothing?" Adam walked to Vrex and placed a hand on the alien's shoulder. "It means everything. That's why I need to ask you to trust me one more time. What's happening is not an ending. It's a transition. When it's complete, I promise I'll return and explain everything." "The other colony leaders are calling for human containment," Vrex said quietly. "They fear what your silence means." "I know. That's why we need to leave now." Adam glanced at his waiting companions. "Keep the colony safe, old friend. And remember that whatever you hear in the coming days, humans have always valued our friendship with your people." Governor Vrex stared at him for a long moment. Then he stepped aside. "Go," he said. "I'll tell them you overpowered me when I discovered you." Adam smiled. "Thank you. When this is over, I owe you the finest drink in the galaxy." On Tarsus 4, Lisa Daniels found herself cornered. With Grohl gone to join the investigative fleet, the acting security chief had placed all humans under house arrest for their own protection. Lisa knew it was really to prevent them from leaving. She sat in her office, a guard posted outside the door, and considered her options. The instructions were clear. Get to a designated gathering point when the signal came. That signal had arrived yesterday, a simple coded message through an obscure channel that all off-world humans monitored. A soft tap on her window startled her. Looking out, she saw Pelk, her bird-like assistant, hovering outside. The building was 15 stories up. Lisa opened the window. "Pelk, what are you doing?" "Helping," he said, wings beating steadily. "The way you humans have helped us. I don't believe you mean harm." He handed her a small device. "This will unlock your door. Security changed the codes, but they used our standard system. I can get you to the spaceport." Lisa stared at him in surprise. "Why?" "Because when the cave floods, those who sense the water rising first are not fleeing out of cowardice," Pelk said. "They're the wise ones." His head tilted. "Something is coming, isn't it? Something bigger than just Earth going silent." Lisa nodded slowly. "Yes, something that will change everything." "Then go prepare for it." Pelk backed away from the window. "I'll create a distraction in 5 minutes." The ship carrying Alan Murphy detached from the main fleet. As the only vessel with advanced scientific equipment, the Stellar Horizon had been tasked with analyzing the strange energy field from a closer position. Alan watched from the science bay as they approached the edge of the Sol system. The mysterious field was visible now even to the naked eye. A subtle shimmer against the backdrop of space, like heat rising from hot ground. "Preliminary analysis suggests it's not dangerous," reported Dr. Zell. "But it's like nothing we've seen." B4. The energy signatures don't match any known technology. Alan studied the readings. The mathematical sequence he had discovered in Earth's final transmission matched patterns in the field perfectly. This was no coincidence. We should proceed with caution, he suggested. Agreed, said the captain. Minimal power. Sensors at maximum. The ship slowly moved forward, crossing the boundary of the field. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every display in the science bay suddenly changed, showing completely new information. What's happening? Demanded the captain. Alan's eyes widened as he read the new data. It's not a barrier, he whispered. It's a filter. A filter for what? Asked Dr. Gzell. Before Alan could answer, a voice spoke in his mind, clear as day, yet he knew no one else could hear it. Alan, can you hear me? It's your brother, Jack. Don't react. Just listen. Earth hasn't gone anywhere. We've evolved, and now it's time for you to come home and join us. Alan Murphy stood frozen in the science bay of the stellar horizon. The voice in his head, his brother's voice, continued speaking while around him. The alien scientists worked frantically to understand the strange readings from their instruments. Don't panic, Jack's voice said inside Alan's mind. This is real. We can communicate directly now, mind to mind, across any distance. It's one of the gifts from the contact. Alan struggled to keep his face neutral. The contact? He thought, hoping his brother could hear him. Yes. Exactly 3 weeks ago, Earth made contact with something ancient. Something that's been watching us for millennia. They exist in multiple dimensions at once. They've been waiting for us to reach a certain point in our development. Dr. Zell moved next to Alan, interrupting his hidden conversation. These readings make no sense, the alien scientist said, pointing to the displays. According to this, we're detecting thousands of new energy signatures from Earth that weren't there before, but they're operating on frequencies our sensors weren't designed to detect. Alan nodded, trying to focus on 2 conversations at once. It looks like the energy field acted as a calibration signal for your instruments. It's showing you what was always there, but you couldn't see before. That's impossible, said the captain. Our sensors are the most advanced in the galaxy. In Alan's mind, Jack laughed. Tell them the truth, brother. Tell them we've evolved. Alan took a deep breath. Captain, I believe Earth has undergone a significant change, a evolutionary leap. Those energy signatures you're detecting are likely human minds operating on a new level. The alien crew stared at him in silence. Finally, Dr. Gzell spoke. You knew this would happen. We suspected something, Alan admitted, but not the details. We were given protocols to follow if Earth ever went silent. Now I understand why. The captain's skin darkened with concern. We need to alert the main fleet immediately. You can try, Alan said, but I don't think conventional communications will work inside this field. As if confirming his words, the communication officer called, Out, Captain. We've lost contact with the fleet. All channels are dead. The captain turned to Alan, suspicion clear in his eyes. What happens now? Alan listened to his brother's voice for guidance. After a moment, he said, Now we proceed to Earth, and you'll see for yourselves what's happened to humanity. The main fleet approached the edge of the Sol system cautiously. On the bridge of the Unity of Stars, Samantha Wright watched as the strange energy field grew visible on the main view screen. Donitio, stellar horizon has crossed the boundary, reported the navigation officer. But they've stopped responding to our calls. Malfunction? Asked Grohl, standing beside Samantha. Unlikely, said the captain. All readings from the horizon ceased the moment they entered the field. The fleet commanders gathered for an emergency meeting. Some argued for retreat, others for pressing forward. Samantha remained silent, listening to their fears and theories. Officer Wright, the fleet admiral finally said, You've been unusually quiet. What does Earth hope to achieve with this barrier? Samantha chose her words carefully. Admiral, I believe this is not a barrier but a transition point. My recommendation is that we proceed, but be prepared for adjustments to your perceptions. Adjustments? the Admiral repeated. Explain. Before Samantha could answer, a message appeared on her personal device. It contained just 2 words. It's time. The firewall protocol had reached its final stage. Admiral, Samantha said, standing straighter, I believe Earth is ready to explain its silence, but the explanation will only make sense once we cross that threshold. After more debate, the decision was made. The fleet would proceed together into the field. As they crossed the boundary, every electronic system on every ship briefly flickered, then stabilized, showing new readings that confused and alarmed the alien crews. And in that moment, Samantha heard her sister's voice in her mind. Sam, can you hear me? It's Julie. Don't be afraid. We're all connected now. Samantha gasped, causing Grohl to look at her sharply. What is it? He demanded. She turned to him, eyes wide. Grohl, something incredible has happened to humanity. We haven't abandoned the galaxy. We've transformed to help it. As the investigative fleet ventured deeper into the Sol system, they encountered more surprises. Massive structures orbited around Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, structures that hadn't been there before. Energy patterns flowed between planets in ways that defied conventional physics. In the fleet's command center, alien representatives argued about what they were seeing. These constructions would take decades to build, said one. How could humans have done this in secret? They must have had help, suggested another. Perhaps they've allied with some unknown power. Samantha listened to them while maintaining her mental conversation with her sister. What exactly happened to Earth? She asked silently. Julie's voice replied in her mind. The beings who contacted us exist in 11 dimensions simultaneously. They've been watching humanity since we first appeared. They were waiting for us to reach a point where we could comprehend their existence. And the silence? The firewall? Protocol? A precaution, Julie explained. When they made contact, our minds began to change. Our consciousness expanded. We gained abilities that could have seemed threatening to other species if not properly explained. The silence was to protect both us and the rest of the galaxy during the transition. Samantha relayed simplified versions of these explanations to the alien representatives who listened with mixtures of awe, disbelief, and fear. Can you prove any of this? Challenged the reptilian delegate. At that moment, a message appeared on the main view screen. It was a formal communication request from Earth. When accepted, a human face appeared, a man with calm eyes and a gentle smile. Greetings to the representatives of the Galactic Council, he said. My name is Greg Foster, speaking on behalf of the human consensus. We apologize for our silence, but it was necessary during our transition. We are now ready to re-establish contact and explain what has happened. The alien delegates bombarded him with questions, but Greg raised his hand for silence. I understand your confusion and concern. Rather than attempt to explain with words alone, we would like to invite a delegation from your fleet to Earth. See for yourselves what has happened to humanity. After much discussion, a team was selected. The fleet, Admiral, 5 senior delegates including Grohl and Samantha as their guide. What will we find on Earth? Grohl asked Samantha as they boarded the shuttle. The next step in human evolution, she replied, and possibly a glimpse of the galaxy's future. While the main fleet waited, the delegation's shuttle approached. Earth. From orbit, the planet looked much the same as always, blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown land masses. But as they drew closer, they saw signs of change. Cities glowed with new types of energy. Structures of impossible geometry rose from the ground. Those weren't there before, Samantha confirmed as the aliens stared in amazement. Their shuttle was guided to a landing pad outside what had once been Geneva, Switzerland. As they stepped onto Earth's surface, the alien delegates looked around in wonder. The city had been transformed. Buildings flowed, rather than stood. Light and energy moved in patterns that seemed almost alive. A small group of humans waited to greet them. Greg Foster stepped forward. Welcome to the new Earth, he said. We have much to share with you. The Admiral looked at the transformed city, then back at Greg. What are you now? He asked directly. Greg smiled. We're still human, just more than we were before. And what we've learned, what we've become, we want to share with all the peoples of the galaxy, not to convert or change you against your will, but to help prepare you for what's coming. Coming? Asked Grohl, tension evident in his voice. What's coming? Greg looked at each delegate in turn, his eyes finally settling on Samantha. The universe is far more complex, far more alive than any of us realized. The beings who contacted us are just one of many ancient consciousnesses that exist beyond our normal perception. Some are benevolent, others are not. We've been given the ability to see them all. He gestured toward the transformed city. This is not just humanity's evolution, it's our preparation and yours for the next chapter of galactic history. The alien delegation followed Greg Foster through the transformed streets of Geneva. Buildings flowed like liquid sculptures. Plants grew in patterns that seemed to respond to thought. Citizens went about their business, but something about them had changed. They moved with new purpose and awareness. Everyone on Earth has been upgraded? Asked the fleet admiral, struggling to find the right word. Everyone who chose to be, Greg clarified. About 98% of the population accepted the change. The others continue to live as they always have, in communities of their choosing. Grohl studied the humans they passed. They look the same physically. The changes are primarily in our minds, Greg explained. We can now perceive multiple dimensions simultaneously. We can communicate directly from mind to mind. We can see patterns and connections that were invisible to us before. And these beings who contacted you, the reptilian delegate asked, where are they? Why can't we see them? Greg smiled. You're looking right at them, or rather, through them. They exist in the spaces between what you perceive as reality. He led them to a large circular building that hadn't existed before Earth's silence. Inside was a single vast room with a glowing sphere of energy at its center. The sphere pulsed, with colors that seemed impossible, shifting through spectrums that hurt the eyes to watch. This is a visualization interface, Greg said. It will help you perceive a fraction of what we now see naturally. At his gesture, the sphere expanded, surrounding them with swirling patterns of light and sound. The alien delegates gasped as their perceptions changed. Suddenly they could see ghostly forms moving around them, vast complex beings that existed partially in their reality and partially beyond it. These are the architects, Greg said. They've existed since before the first stars formed. They've been watching the development of all intelligent life in our galaxy. The Admiral stepped back in alarm. Are they controlling you now? No, Greg laughed. They don't want control. They want partnership. They've been waiting for species to evolve to a point where true communication was possible. Samantha, who had been quiet during the tour, finally spoke. Waiting for what purpose? Greg's expression grew serious. The universe is not empty. It's filled with consciousnesses, some ancient beyond imagining. Most are benevolent or neutral toward developing life, but some are not. The visualization changed, showing dark, predatory forms moving between stars. In about 300 years, our galaxy will encounter entities the architects call the Void Hunters. They consume developing civilizations, feeding on consciousness itself. They've destroyed thousands of young species in neighboring galaxies. The alien delegates watched in horror as the visualization showed entire worlds going dark as the shadow-like entities passed. The architects can't directly interfere, Greg continued. Their very nature prevents it. But they can guide, teach, and prepare other species to defend themselves. And they chose humans for this? Grohl asked skeptically. They chose many species, Greg corrected. Humans were simply at the right stage of development when the need became urgent. Other species will be contacted when they're ready. The visualization faded, returning them to the normal room. The alien delegates stood in silence, processing what they had seen. Finally, the Admiral spoke. You went silent to protect us during your transformation, but why are all the off-world humans returning to Earth? To complete their connection to the consensus, Greg explained. Distance was a barrier at first, but soon it won't matter. We needed to establish the network among those closest to Earth before extending it further. "And what happens now?" asked the reptilian delegate. "Will humans rejoin galactic society?" "Of course," Greg smiled. "We never intended to leave it. But our role will change. We'll be teachers, guides, preparing each species for its own eventual contact with the architects." 3 days later, the full findings were presented to the gathered fleet. Ships from across the galaxy had arrived, drawn by news of Earth's transformation. The Galactic Council chamber aboard the Unity of Stars was packed with representatives from hundreds of species. Samantha stood beside Greg as he addressed the assembly. She could feel the mix of emotions in the room: fear, wonder, suspicion, hope. "Humanity has not abandoned you," Greg assured them. "We've evolved to better serve the galaxy we share. What we've learned, what we've become, will eventually be available to all species when they reach the right stage of development." "And who decides when that is?" called out a delegate from the back of the room. "Humans? These architects? Who appointed you as the galaxy's gatekeepers?" Greg remained calm. "No one is a gatekeeper. Evolution cannot be forced. Each species will develop in its own time, in its own way. We're simply offering guidance for those who want it." The debate continued for hours. Some species embraced the news with excitement, eager to learn more about the architects and the coming threat. Others remained deeply suspicious, seeing Earth's transformation as a power grab. By the end, a compromise was reached. Earth would gradually reintegrate with galactic society. Human representatives would return to their positions throughout the galaxy, but no species would be forced to accept their guidance or presence. 2 weeks later, on New Horizon Colony, Adam Clark stepped off his ship. Governor Vrex waited at the landing pad, surrounded by security personnel. "You came back," Vrex said, surprise evident in his voice. "I promised I would." Adam smiled. "I wanted you to be one of the first to understand what's happened." "Your appearance hasn't changed," Vrex observed. "The changes are deeper than skin." Adam tapped his temple. "I'd like to show you, if you're willing." Vrex hesitated, then nodded. "Our friendship has survived 15 years. I suppose it can survive this too." Adam placed his hand gently on Vrex's shoulder. The governor's eyes widened as his mind opened to new perceptions. Just a glimpse of what humans now experience constantly. "This is incredible," Vrex whispered. "It's just the beginning," Adam replied. On Tarsus 4, Lisa Daniels returned to find Pelk waiting at the spaceport. The bird-like alien shuffled nervously as she approached. "You look different," he said. "There's something in your eyes now." Lisa smiled. "I see more clearly now, and I've come back to show others what I've seen." "The mine security chief wants to arrest you for leaving," Pelk warned. "I know, but that won't be necessary once they understand." She gestured to where Grohl was walking toward them from another landing pad. "I think our chief may have a new perspective on things." In the Galactic Council chambers on their homeworld, representatives debated the implications of Earth's transformation. Some called for caution, others for embracing the new human wisdom. 300 years until these void hunters arrive," said the council president. "Is that enough time to prepare?" "It will have to be," replied a human representative who had just arrived from Earth. "But we won't face them alone. We'll face them together, as a galaxy united." On Earth, Greg Foster stood on a hillside watching the sunset. He could sense the millions of minds around him, all connected in the human consensus. And beyond that, he sensed the patient, ancient awareness of the architects watching and guiding. Earth's silence had been necessary, but temporary. Now a new voice was rising, not just human, but something more. A voice that would someday join with others across the galaxy to create something greater than any single species could achieve alone. The silence had ended. The conversation was just beginning.